sparked my interest in Zen philosophy and arts. You might say, what's the relationship of it, right? But when you learn a language, you ask yourself sometimes, why should we say this in this way? Why are there certain mannerisms that what is it reflecting? Where is it coming from? So I decided to read some textbooks and research on my own about Zen philosophy and arts. And among of them, I found one of the most popular Zen philosophers, Suzuki, who was one of the first Japanese Zen philosophers to introduce Zen to Western culture. So I started reading him, and in his writings, I found this very interesting questions and concepts of Zen. And I asked myself, so what is Zen?
But when I got to Boston College, I decided I wanted to try something new, something I could only learn in the classroom. I really didn't know very much about the Middle East to begin with. But the more I began studying Arabic, which is an extremely fascinating language, the more I wanted to learn about the culture that's spoken. And I began doing some research and taking some classes in international studies major, and I now focus on the Middle East. And so I decided to design my project in a way where I would learn the Egyptian dialect. It is actually the most widely used dialect of all Egyptian colloquial languages, Arabic colloquial languages. And I was going to work at a newspaper.
I expected to teach a class of approximately 20 students between the ages of 8 and 13, but because of the diminished budget and lack of volunteers, I ended up with 100 students, only some of them, between the ages of 5 and 21. So, needless to say, my carefully planned lessons had to undergo a lot of change. So to ensure that my lessons were most effective, I divided the students into 8 small groups, and worked with each group for a half hour or an hour depending on the age of the students. During this time, the other groups worked on activities like craft projects, role play, and music with some of the other volunteers at the program. I conducted most of the lessons in Hindi and translated the English biblical passages to ensure better comprehension among the students. Since the syllabus was the same for everybody, I modified the content of each topic in accordance with the age group I was teaching.
I chose to begin this project because I came across an article that said there are more young Hispanic males in the penal system than there are in the education system, which immediately caught my attention because I had to stop and ask why, and then consider the consequences of that. This means that more young Hispanic males, and I'm assuming it's a general trend, are being taken out of the education system where they can be fostered, educated, become tomorrow's leaders, and they're being put into the penal system where they have an entirely different set of mentors, with obviously much more negative consequences to that. So as I continued my research, I found that indeed young Hispanic males are increasingly singled out by the criminal justice system, as you can read above. They're 2.3 times more likely to be arrested and 7.3 times more likely to be in prison.
I'm a senior biology major with aspirations of becoming a physician, and I think that you can sort of see in my paper that's sort of what initially drove me to this topic on computational genomics and the creation of large genetic databases and sort of the ethical considerations that brings up. So I just wanted to start off by saying that as a biology major, last year in the fall, I enrolled in an intro bioinformatics class, and I think that's relevant here because prior to that experience of being exposed to bioinformatics, I sort of had heard about this field, but not really appreciated, exactly what it was. Sort of every time I heard bioinformatics, it was accompanied by a tagline, as this promising field of the future of biology. But I didn't really, as I said, have a proper appreciation of how it could be incorporated into the future with biology, science, and beyond in fields such as medicine.
A 2006 study by the Foundation for Jewish Campus Life had expressed that 51% of college students had experienced anti-Semitism in the past 3 years. I view myself as neither pro-Israeli or pro-Palestinian, but rather as pro-peace, and I was determined to use my ASG to discover how an environment for open dialogue on these issues could be present on college campuses without igniting hatred. It was my hope that the results from the study would lead to suggestions for improved preventative and responsive protocol to combat intolerance on college campuses nationwide, an initiative that would hopefully lead to a reduction of hate with global implications. My research would have two major components. First, I would survey university professors in New England. I chose to question this specific group because professors not only serve as prudent witnesses to changes in college environments over extended periods of time, but also have been targeted by several scholars as instigating bias incidents. In the second component of my research, I would meet with deans of students at these universities to obtain the human story behind the statistics. These interviews would not be anonymous, so that successful anti-bias programs could be used as examples.
I'm continuing taking Spanish classes now. I'm a Latin American Studies minor, English major, and I'm also doing the Global Proficiency Program. For my post-placement, I volunteer at an elementary school out in East Boston that serves a predominantly Latin American community, and I work as an ESL tutor for the parents of the students in the after-school program. And for my study abroad plans, I plan to actually go abroad for 2 semesters. My first semester in Granada, Spain, and then I plan to return to Mexico, Puebla, Mexico. It's totally influenced my postgraduate plans. I plan on getting involved in some kind of international service organization. I'm looking into a couple right now. Peace Corps probably seems my most likely option. No matter what careers I end up in, because I do plan on pursuing several, I will definitely use my Spanish. I plan to work abroad, and then eventually become a teacher in the United States, and depending on where you do that, sometimes being able to speak Spanish is a necessity.